Hello everybody and welcome to the Italian Football Podcast. I'm Carlo Garganese and I'm not joined by Nima Tavali today because I believe he is still out celebrating. Apparently the neighbours actually put in a complaint to the police because Nima was shouting so much last night, and the reason he was shouting so much was because Inter are in the Champions League final after an epic 4-3 win against Barcelona after extra time at San Siro in this incredible semi-final, which finished 7-6 on aggregate to Inter. So I'm going to be doing a post-match reaction on that incredible game. It was a truly insane match. Inter 2-0 up at half-time through Lautaro Martinez and a Hakan Calhanoglu penalty. But Barcelona, once again, as they did in the first leg, fight back. 2 quick-fire goals after half-time, make it 2-2. It's all Barcelona in the second half. Inter look dead. Barcelona score with 2 minutes to go through Raphinha. It looks like it's all over. Barcelona in the final. And then somehow, from the dead, Francesco Acerbi, of all people, equalises deep into injury time, forces extra time, and then in extra time, super sub Davide Frattesi once again scores the winner. Inter hold on, they win 4-3, and I'm out of breath just now, just talking about it. It was unbelievable. There's so much to talk about. First of all, I think pound for pound, this is the greatest Champions League tie of all time. I can't think of a greater Champions League tie over 2 legs than what we have just seen. 3-3 in the first leg, 4-3 in the second. So much drama, so much great comebacks, chances galore, goals galore, controversy. I mean, this last injury time equaliser. I mean, this had everything. But everybody that's watching and listening, and this is on YouTube as well. If anybody can shout out a greater Champions League tie than this, since the Champions League began in its new format in 1992, or even before that when it was the European Cup, if anybody can name a greater tie over 2 legs than this, just leave a comment. I would like to go and watch that tie again because this was unbelievable. But it's an incredible achievement from Inter to reach a second final in 3 years under Simone Inzaghi. They will, of course, meet either PSG or Arsenal in the final. PSG leading 1-0 from the first leg at the Emirates. The second leg is being recorded tonight. I'm recording this on Wednesday afternoon, and we'll see who Inter meet in the final. But if we can now break down and analyse the game, we can say that Inter are in the final first and foremost because of their never say die attitude. I mean, this is a team, a squad who were completely dead in that second half. Physically, they were dead. They haven't been in the best physical shape for most of this season, but in that second half, they looked like they'd gone. There was no energy. No one could run anymore. And once it had gone to 2-2, it just looked like they were waiting for Barcelona to score. And when they did, you think it's definitely all over. 88th minute. There's no way they can come back. But, mentally, this team is so strong. And they never give up. And Francesco Acerbi to score, of all people, to score the 94th minute to force extra time. And in extra time, they go on. They're probably the better team in extra time. And with no energy at all, they somehow managed to win this tie. It's because of this incredible mentality and incredible heart. I mean, Damian at the end of the game said, we never give up. This is Inter. We play with the heart. We play with the heart. I mean, that sums it up. This is a team with massive heart, and even when they look dead and buried, they still somehow manage to come back. And all I can say is, there's a viral video going around of the Inter fans who left the stadium, left San Siro at the 3-2, and then they hear that Inter have equalised as they're outside the stadium. They try to get back in, but they're not allowed back in. I mean, what are you thinking of, guys? I mean, Serie A's of the week, those fans that left the stadium, because Inter are never dead. They always find a way, and that's why they managed to find a way in this game. We have to praise Simone Inzaghi, of course, and Beppe Marotta, the both of them. It's an amazing achievement by Inter to reach a second final in 3 years, or in the 4 seasons of the Inzaghi project, because financially no Italian team, Inter or any Italian team, Milan, Juventus, no Italian team should be anywhere near reaching the final. The revenue that Inter and Italian teams receive each season, the fees that they pay, the salaries that they pay, is a pittance compared to the big clubs in Europe, and it's a testimony to the amazing job that Marotta has done to build a team with free transfers and signings that are sometimes outcasts or offloaded, not unwanted by other clubs, and to be able to create a club where the best players want to stay. And yes, Inter pay big salaries as well, certainly by Italian standards. They pay the highest salary. They have the highest salary bill in Serie A now. But compared to the big European clubs, I mean, it shouldn't be possible what Inter have done. Inter generate 391 million euros a year. They're the 14th richest club in Europe, according to Deloitte. No Italian team makes over 400 million euros a year. Now compare that to their opponents, Barcelona, who make 760 million euros a year. And this is supposed to be a Barcelona team in financial strife, remember. So almost double Barcelona, what Inter are making. You've got Arsenal and Liverpool, 715 million. You've got Bayern, 765 million. You've got Manchester United, 770 million euros a year. PSG, who could be the opponent in the final, 805 million euros a year, so double what Inter make. And then you have Real Madrid, over 1 billion euros a year. So look at the difference between the revenue generated by Inter and by Italian clubs compared to the biggest clubs financially in Europe. And it should not be possible for Inter to do what they've done. So to reach 2 finals in 4 years, I mean, first of all, Marotta, but also Inzaghi, who's shown himself, yes, he's definitely underperformed in Serie A, especially if Napoli go on to win the league. 1 Serie A title in 4 years, considering the squad that Inter have put together, is big underperformance, no doubt about it. But in the Champions League, it's a huge overperformance because, like I said, even player for player, there are stronger teams out there. There is more quality. There are deeper squads. And for Inter to reach a second final in 3 years is a magnificent achievement. Inzaghi, just how well drilled, how well organised, the automatisms, as Hansi Flick called them, of this Inter team, amazing. They're bigger than the sum of their parts, and Inzaghi has done an amazing job and tactically shown himself to be one of the best tacticians in Europe in playing these big games against these big teams, knowing how to go about it, how to tactically beat the opponent. He's shown himself to be one of the best in Europe. So fantastic. Well done to Simone Inzaghi and to Beppe Marotta and the whole Inter management for what they've achieved here. I think Inter's experience did play a role, and again, that's testimony to the setup of the squad. they have more experience than this Barcelona team. This Barcelona team is quite a young team. And I think at key times in this tie, Barcelona was shown to be very naive, defensively suicidal, of course, which we've discussed, but naive. Barcelona had this tie in their hands at 3-2, but they continued to push forward. They left themselves 3-on-3 in injury time for the Acerbi goal, which is just crazy, stupid. You just have to be pragmatic at that time. And when it got to extra time, I think Inter handled it better in extra time with that extra experience. It's an aging Inter team, just under the age of 30, the oldest team in Serie A, one of the oldest in Europe, maybe the oldest in the Champions League. I'm not sure about that. So that experience it proved decisive in the end. Also decisive, surprisingly decisive, Inter's substitutes, Inter's reserves. We've spoken about this season about how the squad hasn't really done much for Inter. It's been a disappointment. I've been critical. I think everyone's been critical of the lack of options in attack behind Lautaro and Thuram. As soon as one of those two don't play, Inter's attack collapses. Well, actually, Thuram and Lautaro are out on their feet. Taremi comes on, who's been a disaster, one of the biggest flops Inter have ever had, but he played really well. He was an excellent sub. He really helped make Inter more dangerous in attack. He got the assist for the winner for Frattesi. He helped out defensively. He ran, which is something that Lautaro and Thuram, for Thuram for the 90 minutes anyway, weren't really able to do too much of. But also Frattesi. He comes on. He's been very much criticised. He comes on and he scores. He scores the winner. Another crucial goal, just like he did against Bayern Munich. He scored the winner in 2 rounds now, and for all his struggles and criticism, he scored 7 goals this season, which isn't bad. So the Inter players made a difference. Inter subs made a difference. Inter were dead, and the players come on. Even Zielinski, they provided a bit of extra energy, and Inter got their second wind and somehow managed to turn this tie around. But in terms of individuals, so many heroes. I mean, I think Lautaro, we have to give a shout out to him. It was a miraculous that he managed to come back in the first place. He played through the pain. He said it at full time. He's way off. He's probably not even 50% yet. He scores the first goal. He wins the penalty with a very clever bit of play. The way that he put his foot in between the ball and the opponent and baited the challenge and won the penalty, and it was a penalty. He couldn't run at all after that. But he scored one and well, let's say made one. So he was vital. Denzel Dumfries, what can you say about this guy? I've been his biggest fan, and this tie, he was the man of the tie. The first leg, 2 goals and an assist. He gets another 2 assists in this game. So 2 goals, 3 assists in the tie. The guy is a machine. I think there's an argument to say he's the best in the world in his position. And, physically, mentally, this guy is just a monster. And there was one moment quite amusing in the first half where he bullied Gerard Martinez so much that he basically threw him to the floor like he was it was like a heavyweight against a flyweight. That was the difference. Magnificent. And what season he's having. 10 goals and 6 assists now in 41 games for a right wing back. I mean, it's mad. It's absolutely mad. Maybe Inter's player of the season this season, maybe. Thuram, we have to praise Thuram again. Like Lautaro, this guy's so way off being match fit. I mean, he really played through the pain, to play in the first leg, and of course he scored in it. And then again, you can see in this game, he's not fit. He looked dead, completely dead in 90 minutes. Somehow managed to get a second wind in extra time. The heart that he showed, and he was brilliant in extra time, and we saw that with the goal that was scored by the winner, that was scored by Frattesi. The work that he does to hold it up and just incredible. And this is somebody who, is so important for Inter. I mean, he really does have a bit of everything, and he showed that he has the heart as well to play when he's clearly not in physical condition and be decisive. And that's the sign of a great player. Francesco Acerbi, we have to talk about Francesco Acerbi. He's 37 years old. What a soldier this man is. This is a guy, again, who clearly you could see physically, this is a guy that was really fighting against time, against age. And he, of all people, steps up in the 94th minute and scores. And it was a great finish. It was a striker's finish with his right foot. I mean, to force extra time and the celebration. And if there's anybody that symbolises into spirit and then never say die attitude, it is Francesco Acerbi. Because, you know, this guy, I mean, what Francesco Acerbi has gone through and come through in his life. I mean, he's somebody who has, you know, been very open about the difficulties that he's had in his life with his family. He's somebody that's beaten cancer twice, and to still be playing at this level at the age of 37, to be this decisive, it's incredible. And we can say now that Francesco Acerbi has joined the list of Italian defensive greats. We're talking about the legends of Italian defence, the Barresis, Maldinis, Chiellinis, Bonucci's, Cannavaro's, Nesta's. You know, these absolute legends of Italian football. You know, Francesco Acerbi has joined that Hall of Fame now. You know, he's not at the level of some of these legendary defenders of the past, but he is definitely part of that list now, because what he has done, you know, at this age, in his 30s, I mean, it's unbelievable. And Inter are in the Champions League final, also very much down to Francesco Acerbi, and he's still doing it. And at the age of 37 as well, Luciano Spalletti should be calling him up next month for that massive do or die World Cup qualifier in Norway, where he will play against Erling Haaland, someone that he has pocketed twice already in recent years, including in the Champions League final that Inter lost to Man City 2 years ago. And if there's anybody that deserves to win the Champions League final for personal reasons, it is him. Jan Sommer as well, another golden oldie that produced a magnificent performance for Inter against Barcelona. He was officially the man of the match in this tie, according to UEFA. He faced 10 shots on target. He made some absolutely massive saves. Miracle save from Garcia at 2-1. Another magnificent save in extra time from Yamal, where he tips it round the post. He said after the game that save from Yamal was one of the most important in his career. Jan Sommer has to be one of the most underrated goalkeepers of the last 10 years. He's somebody that's never really talked about, but he's somebody that rarely makes mistakes. He's always reliable. He brings a sense of calm to the defence. And at Inter, joining Inter in the summer of 2023, he's been brilliant. I mean, we have to compare the story of Jan Sommer to the story of Andre Onana. Jan Sommer was the replacement for Onana. When Inter sold Onana to Manchester United in the summer of 2023, and they replaced him with Sommer, he was considered, Sommer, a massive downgrade by the majority of people. And how wrong he has proven them. I mean, what a deal this has been for Inter. They sold Onana to Man United for around 55 million euros. They signed Sommer for 6.75 million euros. And if Inter are in the Champions League final, it is also massively down to Sommer. Inter conceded 1 goal in 8 games in the group stages. Sommer played 7 of those matches. And the saves that he made in this game against Barcelona, the save from Garcia, unbelievable, miraculous. And then that save, world-class save from Yamal, tipping it round the post. It looks like it's destined for the top corner. I mean, Jan Sommer, you know, you've got to take off your hat to him. I mean, what a signing he's been, and what a semi-final that Sommer had against Barcelona. Frattesi, again, as I said before, you know, the winner. He scored the winner. He's been decisive in 2 Champions League rounds now in a row. And I love the quote of Frattesi after the game. I'm going to read it out. And Frattesi said, "This has been my career. I wasn't blessed with incredible talent, but I am the last to give up and the first to believe. So this is a reward for effort and dedication." He also talked about how his mother told him to always fight, to never give up. And, you know, we see that from Frattesi. Technically, he's not the best player. Passing-wise, some of his passing stats sometimes are horrific. But he's somebody that, you know, he's got that amazing heart. He's great at those late runs into the box. He always finds himself in goal-scoring positions. And he's a brilliant finisher. When he has a chance, I mean, it can't be, you know, that finish is superb. The way that he did a dummy, small dummy first, which created the space for him then to curl it round the defender into the bottom corner. I mean, that's superb. He's a cold finisher, Frattesi, and he's a very, very big weapon off the bench for Inter, and also for Italy, for the Italy national team. We also have to give out a shout out for the atmosphere in the San Siro. It was an incredible atmosphere, and the crowd so loud, extremely loud on the Champions League theme actually. Great tifos before the game, and or more like the Italy flag and the Forza Inter that they created with the fans before the game. Certainly better than the Arsenal tifo last week. They really helped Inter, especially in extra time. That is where the 12th man really gets behind you, and they made the difference. They made it like a cauldron, which they needed to. So incredible. Negatives. I mean, it's hard to talk about negatives on a night like this. This is a famous night for Inter. It's a night that all Inter fans are going to remember forever. And the negatives, you can kind of overlook them. But if we are talking longer term, we saw again physically the limitations of this Inter team. If we're talking about going past this season, this is an Inter team and Inter squad are really on their last legs. They're really breathing their final breaths of greatness. The first half Inter were really good. They were almost perfect. The second half they collapsed, physically collapsed. I mean, it has been a problem all season. The Inter don't ever seem to be capable of playing 90 minutes, full 90 minutes, at a real kind of consistent physical level. They either have to start slowly and then finish well, or they start strong, and when they do that, they risk falling apart in the second half, which has happened a few times this season. We saw it in the Juventus game, we saw it in Milan in the Supercoppa, and we saw it here. Somehow, though, they managed to just find a way at the end to rescue this game, but they collapsed. If they'd have lost this game, it would have been physically and defensively, but physically, we would have been talking about how this Inter team, the legs are going. They are going, the legs, but they still somehow managed to find a way through their other strengths that they have to still somehow be successful and reach a Champions League final. But this is a team that, yeah, you could see they were dead. They were exhausted. I mean, that was why Inzaghi had made all his 90 minutes subs. You can make another sub in extra time, which they did with De Vrij, but in 90 minutes he made all his subs by the 78th minute. That's a sign that was an admission of the exhaustion that the Inter players had. I mean, I would say now on that note, just throw the league now. Throw it. I mean, this weekend everybody should be rested. You can't. You're going to risk injury. The players are going to be exhausted. You're going to risk injury if you play a lot of these players at the weekend. I would rest the whole team like they did against Verona. And again, if you lose and then you lose the Scudetto, so be it. But you need to really treat these guys with cotton wool and really manage their minutes between now and the end of the season, because they need as much rest as they can get, because physically this is a team that really doesn't have much left to give, and we need them in as best shape as they can be for the final. Defensively also, we have to criticise Inter defensively. I mean, yes, they were heroic in extra time, but at the end of the day, I know this is a special bus, and they've conceded 6 goals in this tie still. So we can't talk about a great Inter defence, even though we've praised Acerbi, we've praised Sommer. I think Bastoni had quite a difficult tie. He did well in the first half, but generally, difficult tie for Bastoni. Bisek as well. But it's not easy. It's not easy. You're playing against a real special Barcelona team, a real special Yamal, who I think Inter really limited Yamal as much as they could. But at the end of the day, he still hit the post. He still forced at least one miracle save out of Sommer. I think Sommer made 3 saves from Yamal, or at least 2. He hit the post when he could have finished off the game before the Acerbi goal. But some of the manner of the goals that Inter conceded in this tie was kind of unlike them, conceding off crosses in this tie. Raphinha completely on his own for that third goal. Inter have conceded 13 in their last 7 games, if I added that up correctly. So that is something that Inter need to improve ahead of the final, especially if it's PSG, because PSG have a really fantastic group of attackers as well. Just a note on the referee: the penalty decision on Lautaro is correct. The first camera angle is deceiving. When you see it on the close-up, Lautaro puts his foot in between the ball and the man, and was it Kubasi comes in and basically goes through the foot onto the ball. When you have a player that puts his foot in the way of the ball, as a defender, you can't make that tackle. You just have to accept, I can't win the ball, and you find another way to block him. You can't do that. It's a penalty. The Mkhitaryan one is a trickier one. I'll be honest. I need to see it more. The foul starts outside the penalty area. That's why the VAR has changed it. If the foul continues into the penalty area, then maybe Barcelona have a point that it should be a penalty. I'll let you guys make the decision, because I'll be honest, I need to rewatch that more times to make a decision. But if the foul is made into the penalty area and it continues in the penalty area, then usually those are given as penalties. Did it or did it not? That's the question that needs to be answered. Having said that, though, Barcelona can't complain, because Inigo Martinez, there's this whole spitting storm. Did he spit at Acerbi? I think he's admitted he spat, but he claims he spat onto the floor. The video footage shows that he's looking at Acerbi, that he's reacted to Acerbi. If this goes to an investigation, I think it might be a difficult one for him to argue that, and then that's going to mean a long ban. So really, he's probably got away with what should have been a red card at 2-0 at half-time. Would mean Barcelona playing the whole of the second leg, and it would have saved a lot of us, certainly Inter fans, a lot of stress and suffering in that second half, because I think I have a really good friend who has a bit of a dodgy heart, and I felt sorry for him. I was scared for him in that second half. He jokes about it. He doesn't mind me joking about it as well. I think there was, for the Italian Heart Association, I think we'll be working overtime today. Let's say that, because this was emotionally, this was one of the most incredible games. The highs and the lows and the twists and the turns, and I mean, it was insane. And it was, one of the greatest matches, one of the greatest two-legged ties, probably the greatest two-legged tie there's ever been in football. I don't enjoy that much football nowadays compared to the past. I prefer old football in terms of my enjoyment for the game. But watching this made me almost. Thierry Henry said the same thing. It's made him fall back in love with football. Watching this tie, it was that. Even though the defending wasn't always the best, and Barcelona's defending was suicidal, and I'm also a traditionalist. I like to see good defending, but it was just for the whole emotion and for the whole drama and everything. This was cinema. Cinema, as our producer Ned said. He said this was cinema. It was unbelievable, and it was. Where would I'll ask you guys, where does this rank among the greatest football matches ever? What is the greatest football match ever? I mean, this is up there, isn't it? Even for one game, this is up there with the greatest matches ever. There was, and this is hilarious. This will be Prem Face of the week. Talk Sport actually asked this question straight after the game. What is the greatest? Is this the greatest match of all time? And the Talk Sport callers came in, and one guy rightfully said that his greatest game of all time was Italy 3, Brazil 2 at the 1982 World Cup, which was a just a legendary game. And if you haven't watched that, watch it. You can watch it, I think, on full on YouTube, I believe. And Jason Cunty said, "Oh yeah, that was a great game. That was Toto Scalacci scored." So Toto Scalacci, bless him. Toto Scalacci was Italian 90. Paolo Rossi was the guy that scored a hat-trick for Italy in the 3-2. But yes, it does remind you of those games. But Jason Cundy, fair play, he did actually make one really great analogy after. He compared this game to watching one of Rocky's fights in the Rocky movies. And now I love that comparison. It really was. Inter were like Rocky. They were on the floor. They were dead. You think that's it. He's not getting up. And boom, Acerbi, somehow he manages to get them up from the canvas, and then they win, and they somehow win, and it's this magical ending. So Hollywood, Rocky ending, wasn't it? So yeah, amazing game. Not so good for the health. And Inter go through to the final, where they will play PSG or Arsenal. Now, very quickly, would I don't know. Let's ask Inter fans. Would you rather play, or those of you that are watching this after the Arsenal versus PSG game, would you have rather played PSG or Arsenal? It's going to be a very different final depending on who they play. If they play PSG are a better team technically than Arsenal. I think Inter against PSG will be a similar game to the Barcelona game, in the sense that PSG are going to dominate possession. PSG have a really special midfield, just like Barcelona do with Pedri and Frenkie de Jong. PSG do with Vitinha. Is a dream of a player, absolute dream, wonderful player, just runs the game, whoever he's playing against. But also the João Neves and Fabian Ruiz. It's a wonderful midfield trio. But also, like Barcelona, PSG have these three special individuals in attack. I mean, Kvaratskhelia, we know about him from Napoli. And Ousmane Dembele just exploded this season, having the season of his career. But also, I mean, Desiree Doué is a special young wonder kid. Barcola is not too bad either, is he? I mean, there's so much danger. But also, like Barcelona, defensively, you can get at this PSG team. This PSG team are much better defensively than Barcelona. They're much more controlled. They manage the game much better. They have a manager also that's better at managing the game. They're not ultra aggressive. They're not going to be suicidal with the high line. So I think that PSG are a better version, or a more safer version of stable version of Barcelona. I think so. It's I think it's going to be like playing against Barcelona, but probably harder. If that makes sense. But also, PSG won't be as good offensively. I mean, PSG won't be as good offensively as Barcelona. I think we can say that. But also, like Barcelona, PSG are susceptible at set pieces. And we saw that against Aston Villa. That is one of their weaknesses. So crosses into the box. I've never really liked Marquinhos on crosses, and Hakimi is not good on crosses. And then from corners, Donnarumma, I mean, I think he's the best goalkeeper in the world, but if there's one weakness, it is, he's not always the most commanding on crosses and set pieces. So I think Inter can get at PSG from set pieces. And also what they have on Inter, what they have on PSG, like they have on Barcelona, is they have that added experience. This PSG team is also a young team. It's a team that players that most of them have never played in Champions League finals or played at this stage of the competition. How will they handle the occasion? I think Inter handle that occasion better. So that is the advantage that PSG will have. And they'll have that same advantage if they play Arsenal and Arsenal manage to overturn it against PSG. The Arsenal game will be completely different. It won't be exciting and thrilling like it was against Barcelona, and like it may be against PSG with the clash of styles. It'll be against two teams that were very, very similar. It will be terrible. It will be Osama Bin Zaghi against Mikel Artetanejahu. That is what Inter versus Arsenal will be. It will be like the game they played in the group phase, which was one of the most unwatchable games you will ever see. Inter won it 1-0. It was a horrible game with basically no chances at all in the game. It will be a low-scoring game. It will be a game where, you know, Arsenal are similar to Inter. They're brilliant on set pieces, along with Inter, the best team in Europe at set pieces. So Inter, one of Inter's weapons will be taken away from them. That ability to bully teams, that ability to score goals off corners and set pieces, that will be taken away from them a little bit, which is a disadvantage. But at the same time, Arsenal just they don't have the offensive threat in attack. They don't have a striker. Apart from Saka, they've got no consistency in attack at all. There's not many goals. There's not that many chances in them. So Inter will have it a lot easier defensively. The midfield will be much more even between the two teams as well. But again, you know, when it comes to experience, you know, Inter have the experience over Arsenal. It was you would favour Inter, but it's one of those weird kind of games. I don't think it would be a great final. So yeah, PSG or Arsenal. The most important thing is that Inter are in the final. It's been an amazing semi-final. Congratulations to Inter. It's a fantastic achievement. They now need to go and finish the job, because this is an Inter team that, well, not just two finals. They also reached a final in was it 2020, the Europa League final, where a number of the players from this team were still around then as well. That they lost in the final to Sevilla in the Europa League final. So that's three finals since 2020, three finals in 5 years. It would be heartbreaking for them to lose yet another final. So this will be the last chance of this Inter team to win the Champions League. And given the financial gap, as I mentioned before, you know, it's a chance that Inter or Italian teams are going to be found very, very difficult to have a chance to win. So they need to make the most of it. But anyway, Inter can rest. They can enjoy the game between PSG and Arsenal tonight. Thank you everyone for listening. We will be back on Monday with Nima, who, if he's finished celebrating, then with a review of the weekend action. Good luck to Fiorentina against Real Betis on Thursday in the Conference League. It would be great to have a second Italian team in the final as well. Enjoy the rest of the week, everybody. We'll see you on Monday. Ciao, ciao.